we've talked about bleat calls and grunt calls, but there's one thing. There's another part of that too with rattling.
That's or a combination with those sounds.
Yeah, all that together.
Because once you use the grunt call, the bleat calls, you're trying to send a message out. 2 bucks are over here, possibly defending the doe. Want both of them want the same doe, and then they get in a fight. And sometimes that's what will make that buck curious to come. Sometimes that buck will be bedded up from you, not very far, in a thicket or in a cutover, and you hit them horns together, and that buck can get up. He can be there quick, like that time Chris Ashley was hunting, and I believe
but Slade. I think that was when Slade was with him.
Was videoing him, and they'd been in the tree for 2 hours. They were very quiet getting in. That buck was laying down in that thicket the whole time. But when they hit those horns together, I mean, he had to get rid of the horns quick.
Here you go. Big buck, Chris.
Meh, meh.
Do you think that like a buck like that, he'd been probably looking, chasing all night long, and he just right at daylight he lays down, and all of a sudden he gets a little rest behind him, he hears that, and poof, here they come again.
That's what I think.
Yep.
But you could have started out roaring or grunting or bleating, and that may have brought him over there. A lot of times you look over and also you see those whites in his ears, and you see him standing there looking.
They looking, figuring it out.
They're standing there figuring it out.
In the deer's language, when they hear when it's pre-rut or rut, and they hear a fight like that, I think they think it could be a hot doe there. They're fighting over a doe.
No doubt.
This is what they come for.
And you can get shed horns. These horns are molded a certain way that they resemble the bone or the antlers.
I remember you come up with a density that was just a certain density.
Trying to get that sound just right. But bottom line, deer don't just fight and go. That ain't what they do. They hit, they lock, they grind, they push. They're breaking limbs, sticks, rattling leaves. A lot of times if I'm rattling, I've got a bush limb right next to me out, and I'll hit that bush, bam, bam, and shake it. Because those are the sounds that are natural to a fight. But remember,
it's loud.
They hit, it's loud. They hit, they lock up, they grind. If they break apart, they go at it again. They might break off and wheeze at each other and try to get, and then they're trying to kill each other. If you've ever seen one of those fights, it's crazy. I know you remember this. We went to Canada, and I'm videoing you. And we're just, I think there was a pipeline cut through the timber there, and we're sitting there, and I said, rattle. He goes, I don't want to rattle. And I said, give me the horn. I'm running the camera, and I started hitting them horns together. And I looked up, and I think it was a 12-point. I looked up and go,
I can tell you, he's mounted at my house right now.
And I said, Brad. And I went, and I got to run the camera. So I took the horns, and I sat on them.
I remember that. You rattled that deer up. I want you to hand me the camera. Because them ain't be comfortable sitting on them horns.
I had to put them somewhere. I was going to make noise with
Let me see the camera. I want everybody to see what you're doing up here. Whoa, I don't fall out. Okay, that's our leader right there.
This is what I did. When he wouldn't come, I was afraid you were going to have the horns and couldn't shoot your gun. I said, give me the horn. So, when he started coming, I just put him up on my butt. That's all I could do.
Well, you did good.
I am so fired up.
That was a great
But
memory.
that's all we used was horns to call up that deer. And then you got the bag.
You got the bag, and
The bag is convenient.
and it's just easier to tote around, and you get the same sounds, especially in the quiet woods. And
I've had many, many people tell me how successful they've been with the bag.
oh, I Slade.
Who was it? That was Slade.
Slade rattled one up.
Coming up at that. Coming up the creek, Chris.
You and I rattled one up in where were we at? I think we were in Kansas one year, right at daylight one morning. And you said rattle at it, and I did. I mean, he walked right to the tree. It was right at daylight, just first shooting light. But
Yeah.
you can't be scared to use them. But like with any call,
And you can
it's a
throw
timing.
grunts in there with it, throw bleats in there with it. It's just another thing that is all natural to the life cycle of a deer during the rut. They're competitive, they're fighting, their necks swell up from rubbing trees and fighting. That's just like you
That's a
pumping
great
iron in a
sound.
gym.
Yep.
That's why their necks are swollen up.
But there again, with a can, grunt, sometimes you may need to call when they're in close, but don't ever call to them. If you have to make one little light call to get them don't do it when you can see their eyes. Let them be behind a treetop, a tree.
If
something.
they get within, if they get within pretty close range of you, especially if you're hunting with a bow, just shut up
Yeah,
and
let
let
'em
them
look for
hunt you. Because if you make any sound at all and they've got any opportunity to zero in on where you are, the gig could be up.
I've hunted with you since the late 80s, and I can always, every time me and you ever hung a stand together, you look around and be like, this would be a good calling spot. And there's a reason, because you can call and make that deer look for you.
Like I said, your confidence level goes way up when you watch him come to you.
That's right.